Welcome. You are listening to the Peaky Pod, the Peaky Blinders podcast by the Story Archives. Oh, and I am your host, Zachary, and I am also here with...
Mario. I was actually testing you to see how that intro would come out here.
Yeah, it was a little better than I expected.
Okay. We actually just recorded a trailer pod for season 6. So, I know this is going to sound like it's in order, but we are doing a whole rewatch now. So we're actually probably not going to finish the whole series before season 6 starts next month, because we're recording this on January 11th, 2022. Happy New Year, Zach.
It's been a minute. Happy New Year. It's been a crazy holiday season for me. I don't know about you.
Oh, I think it's been crazier than yours, pal.
That's actually true. I think it has been crazier than mine.
Yeah. I'll give a little breakdown. Pretty much everyone caught COVID in my family. I'm almost positive I caught COVID, but I couldn't catch it on a COVID test. But I got sick about a week or two before everyone else got sick. So maybe I was like the outbreak monkey that got everybody else sick. But whatever it was, it's gone now. But everyone else had it, so couldn't spend Christmas or New Year's with the family, and vacation got canceled too. So
yeah, that always sucks. Mine was interesting. I think we actually got sick on the same day, even though we hadn't seen each other, so it was just sheer coincidence. But I got sick. My wife got sick. Felt like crap for a great 2 or 3 weeks. And then, holiday season was fun with no taste or smell. So,
Oh, you did? You had no taste or smell either?
Yeah,
you left that part out.
Well, that happened after I started feeling better. Like, all right, so like the really...
So you must have had COVID.
Not feeling good, happened. And, I was starting to feel better. And then I'm like, oh, I can't really taste or smell anything, which is weird because I didn't have any congestion or anything like that. And I'm like, well, I've tested twice. My wife tested once, and we've tested negative for COVID every time. And we were just like, yeah, but we've never lost our taste from the flu. So I decided to go get a antibody test like this past weekend, and apparently I have had COVID. So
you must have had it with the levels of antibodies you had.
That's what it says, man. I've got the strong stuff.
Well, that's good. At least you don't got to worry about it for a bit.
Yeah,
I think everyone's sick and tired of this thing already, man.
I'm sick and tired of people freaking out about being sick and tired. Everyone's different, but I'm sick and tired of hearing about it. I still got a little bit of brain fog, but that'll recover. So if I sound a little slow.
Slower than you usually sound?
Yeah, a little slower than I usually sound.
Okay.
That's why.
Damn, it's going to be pretty bad.
I know, right? This is going to be like snail speed here, just
all right,
rolling through it. But anyways, I'm excited to be back and continue with season 1, so we can hopefully get this thing wrapped up in like the next week.
Yeah, we didn't delay on purpose, but shit happens.
Shit really hit the fan.
Okay, well, we are on season 1, episode 3. I've had these notes prepared since November.
January 10th. Or no, I think I edited it on January 10th. Not when I created it.
No, mine have been done since November.
Mine were done in like December, November as well, but I just touched it yesterday, and now it is telling me yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get this going because we got season 6 coming out next month, and then we'll just keep on, plowing through seasons 1 through 5 until we catch up.
Yeah.
But we're gonna roll into season 6 too and do episodes immediately.
Yeah, this is totally a pivot and a very quick rabbit hole, but I'll make it really quick. We should probably do like not a trailer for season 6 because we just did that, but a bonus episode for season 6 that just quickly recaps us so that we know where we are at the beginning of it.
I agree.
That might not be a bad idea.
But we'll have to watch
because we need to recap ourselves.
We got to rewatch the first half of season 6.
Yeah.
Sooner than later. All right.
Out of the rabbit hole.
Out of the rabbit hole into the episode. Let us begin. I'm going to start it here, the side-by-side here.
Sweet.
Okay. When you watch that trailer, you realize how much has happened since season 1.
So much. after seeing that trailer, it's funny to see the shots right here. Like the
budget has definitely expanded.
The budget's definitely gotten a lot bigger.
Tommy's.
I mean, this is first.
You know what though?
But
Let's not talk too much about season 6 because a lot of people might not watch season 6 and do this watch through or this listen through with us. So let's not mention anything about any characters or whatever.
Yeah, we're not. No spoilers. I don't think we're doing that.
This episode opens up with Tommy meeting up with the IRA wannabes who offer money and connections for the guns.
Well, I mean, it does start with that.
Yeah.
I like the bar back here. You can see the massive thing of doers there. Have you had doers before?
I believe I have. Nothing remarkable though.
Yeah. I got it when I was up in St. Augustine for Thanksgiving, and I was like, eh.
I've only had a few whiskeys and scotch that actually stand out like through memory. Well, we had in episode 2, we had that romantic moment with Grace and Tommy with the already broken. We have the already broken moment by Tommy, which is like that's like one of the most iconic scenes in all of Peaky Blinders. But this one opens up, and Tommy still has the issue with he's got these guns, and he's got to get rid.
A lot of guns.
He's still trying to figure out what's the play on these guns, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember they were accidentally stolen. There was supposed to be something else.
Yeah, we get the whole.
I can't remember what, but you know.
Yeah,
I like the Irish guys here. Seemed like a lot of fun. Now here we have Grace being nosy.
Yeah, well,
ear to the door.
You know, to recap, you know, Grace is a double agent of sorts. Her father was killed by IRA members, and so she's kind of on a personal vendetta against the IRA. And Tommy's playing coy. I don't think Tommy even knows what he's doing here or what his plan's going to be in order to. You know, he's playing multiple sides. He's playing the English government, he's playing the IRA, and he's playing Campbell, who's on his ass, really. He's watching his every move.
Yeah. How you think he's playing the government at this point?
He has to. Whoever has the guns is pretty much Churchill. True. If you remember that meeting with Campbell and Churchill, he says, look, this isn't like Glasgow. You know, bodies can't wash up on the shore here. By the way, I have a note here in my episode notes from when I wrote this. This scene is probably one of the more awkward ones. You got these two grown men just singing into the face of Tommy in the middle of a negotiation.
Dude, it's so awkward.
Right?
I was watching this yesterday just to refresh my memory, and I'm just like, this is kind of cringy. The way this guy's staring at him, singing and pounding his fist on the table.
I got to give it to Tommy. Tommy's the king of eye contact.
He keeps a straight face.
King of eye contact.
Oh my gosh. It's true.
He's like, all right, well.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I should probably get better at. Constant eye contact. Like, just intimidating.
It doesn't work.
For the hell of it.
You can't, like.
It makes you feel awkward.
Unless you're Tommy Shelby, don't do that.
You've already got to be a little drunk for that.
You think so?
Maybe a little bit. Just a little bit.
Well, you hear.
So Grace.
Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, so Grace is supposed to go to the horse race, or the race, with Tommy, but I think she's kind of changing her mind here.
Nah, she's not. She's trying to work Tommy. She's somewhat interested in Tommy, but at the same time, she has a mission to do as well. She's got to get close to him to find out if he has the guns, right?
Of course. And she made her extra money.
Mm-hmm. You hear Tommy talk about here that he has like a little tactic where he gave those IRA members some alcohol because he says, you know, you want to know who's real and who's not. And so essentially he weeded them out. It's actually a good little wisdom piece right there, right?
It's good proofing water. I agree.
Yeah.
I also like Tommy's line a little earlier when he was talking to Grace. He's like, I don't buy my suits. My suits are on the house. The house burns down.
I like that. You know, we like that, but we'd hate that person in real life.
Yeah, we would.
You own the suit shop, and you're like
it here. I like F yourself, dude.
You know, it's so interesting to see Ada. I don't want to say anything about later seasons, but she's so innocent here. It's like a little wedding scene, and she's naive in a way, you know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that she's wearing white to the wedding. Like, I don't know, is that like a newer cultural thing where you only wear white if you're pure, or isn't that like more like a traditional thing?
Wives wear white to the wedding. The wedding dress is white.
If you're pure.
What do you mean?
She's already pregnant.
I've never heard of that in my life.
I've heard of it.
That if you're pregnant, you can't wear white. Sounds like some Puritan shit right there. I've never seen a bride, like, what does she stroll down the aisle in black or off white?
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know.
that one's been around. Here, Campbell makes a comment here about his. Campbell seems like a guy who doesn't know how to shut up. Like, he's, he hasn't had much success, or maybe he's had a little bit of success. And whenever he's kind of like, he feels like he has an in on something, he just keeps on talking. And here, he actually gives away the gender of his operative, in a comment to the sheriff there. I mean, can you imagine if this guy was your spy handler?
Oh, no. I would not be
awful.
Satisfied.
Here we have Grace. In the next scene, we have her trailing the IRA. Like I said, she's on a personal vendetta. I think she could literally give a damn about Campbell and anything else. Her dad was ultimately, I think, killed by the IRA, and so she wants revenge. And so she's trailing one of the members from this bar here. And little does she know that this guy actually, I think he had an eye on her from the beginning.
Yeah, I think he knew he was being tailed.
Yeah.
He's hiding off in the corner here. He walks up and grabs her up against the wall.
By the way, I feel like unrealistic, some plot armor here for Grace.
Uh-huh.
Right? Real life, she doesn't, she's not getting away here. He has the gun in his hand.
Yeah. He was a bit too talkative. So, he could have been a little too drunk. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just shot and killed the IRA member, so now she's having a mental breakdown. And while she's having a mental breakdown,
somebody's watching, right? Like, that's what this angle's for. Uh-huh. Somebody saw it. But who saw it? Because, in this episode, you don't really find out who saw that. But the camera angle gives it away, though.
Yeah, I think the key thing is us knowing that somebody did see it, because it kind of reveals itself.
Yeah.
A little later on here.
Yeah, here, Tommy finds out that Ada and Freddie disobeyed his orders. They didn't take the money to leave town, and so, Tommy's pissed. He's just trying to. He has enough stuff on his plate. He doesn't want to have to deal with Freddie Thorne and his communist little thing that he's got going on. He doesn't need to deal with the communist uprising.
No, it was part of the deal that he made with Campbell anyways, was that, Freddie was going to be gone.
True, you're right. It was one of the conditions.
So there's a lot riding on his not being here. Mm-hmm. So
he informs Paulie of what you just said, by the way, on the condition of Campbell getting Freddie Thorne out.
Which I do think we heard earlier on in
well, we saw it at the Tea Party thing,
in the
right?
last episode. Yeah, I think it was the last episode.
Yeah. Grace is dealing with a post-murder traumatic spell here. Zach, when after your first murder, did you have a meltdown like this?
No, I felt quite peaceful.
Interesting. Yeah. No throwing up.
Very methodical.
No throwing up.
No, it was very methodical and thought out. So it's just like, I don't know. When you smoke a cigarette, it's just that's what it was like.
Yeah, I'd expect nothing less. Anyways, Grace is a good person. Zach, I'm not so sure, but Grace is having kind of like her moment here. But Campbell, because of his nonsense speaking to the sheriff, the sheriff's kind of onto him that the person who killed this guy who left the pub was his operative. So now, not only are they onto the operative, they know it's a chick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we always knew that it was I guess maybe he didn't know until just a few minutes ago when he told him that it was a woman. So I take that back.
Yeah. It's Paulie's trying to play essentially the mediator here with Ada and Freddie. She doesn't want Tommy to get involved. She knows that Ada's pregnant, so she wants to protect it, have the best of both scenarios here.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie has to think about the offer here, because pretty much it's like leave and take the money. What do you do if you're, if I'm Freddie, I don't leave personally.
Really?
Yeah. Why would I leave?
Wow.
No man's gonna tell me to leave if I don't want to leave.
If you really loved her, though, I mean, the alternative is you're gonna die.
I'm not gonna die.
Like I think that's the the Shelbys will want you dead.
No, I'm gonna get the Shelbys dead back. It's not.
There's an army of Shelbys.
He's got an army of communists. You know what I mean? Like, he could strike back. I don't know, man. I think it's my pride talking, but like, you imagine some guy comes up to you and says, you got to leave town, take the money. If I want to live there, I'm not going to leave.
There's more context to it, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants anybody to tell them what to do, but I mean, you kind of got to balance. All right, well, you want something, and so, the people holding that thing are saying you have to do this in order to have it, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Freddie always kind of feels a little half-baked.
He does. He feels like a hothead.
Yeah.
Really
like he doesn't think through his decisions.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Grace is having there's a lead up here with Campbell. They love this little art museum that they go to. And Campbell definitely has the hots for Grace in a weird paternal type of way.
Yeah, it almost seems incestual, but they're not related, so it's okay.
Yeah. I think it's just because Campbell's so repulsive.
That too.
That happens, but
well, she looks and seems so innocent. He just seems like a dirty dude.
Well, we know certain things about Campbell.
Yeah, that we do.
Tommy kind of does this little impromptu meetup with Billy Kimber. And he's really just trying to make an impression. It's like this Tommy is like that hustler.
He's a salesman.
He's a hustler. He's kind of like a grifter. You know what I mean? Like, he's just trying to make an impression here. I don't think he's gotten to the point where he feels like, you know what, I got to take it back. I think he's to the point where he knows Kimber is just an obstacle. He's got to find a way around Kimber.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever been extremely intimidated by Kimber.
Yeah. And he already knew that Kimber was into the barmaid, right? So he wanted to bring her. He's read him pretty straight here.
Yeah. He has.
Speaking of Freddie's communist army here, you know what I mean? This is what Tommy's trying to avoid. You got Freddie assembling this unrest in a factory. And you think about it, he's got his little crew too.
Yeah, it reminds me of nowadays. They don't want us to assemble, so get in groups of 3. Can't be in big crowds.
Yeah, Tommy's in between a rock and a hard place because he knows about Ada and Freddie, but he also has the pressure from Campbell and the Ada. He gets threatened that Ada's going to be held for sedition, essentially.
Mm-hmm. So here we have a scene where Thomas is going in to talk to Arthur. He has the Flanders blues, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically it's PTSD. That's what it is. Yeah.
How'd you know that?
I looked it up a while back.
Gotcha.
I'm like, what is that? Like, that makes sense. I don't know why you call it Flanders blues, but maybe somebody can explain that in the comments.
They all have PTSD in their own way, right? We see more of Tommy's and Arthur's, but not as much as John's. And yes, John was there with them.
I was just about to ask, was he even there?
He was, but Flynn was the only one that was, or Finn was the only one that was not.
Yeah, well, we don't know who that is yet, so.
Ooh, Finn? Yeah, we do.
We do? Oh, Finn? Okay.
Yeah, Finn he's a little boy at this point.
There's another kid that we don't know yet.
Oh, yeah. You're thinking of someone else.
Yeah, I'm thinking of somebody else.
You're edging towards the deep ends on this episode, Zach. Yeah, trying to reel you back.
Thank you. I don't know what about, but all right.
Spoilers mainly.
Oh, okay.
Here, a lot of scenes happen in the church. A lot of confession scenes happen in the church. I don't think that's coincidence. You got Tommy who tells Arthur about the guns here.
Mm-hmm.
And Arthur's kind of, daft. I mean, how does he not figure it out by now that Tommy is the one behind it?
Yeah, Arthur's got a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of them drink like a massive amount all the time, but he's really got some issues. He's always drunk or doing something.
But you have Tommy's kind of premeditated this. Like, he knows how to. If anybody knows how to push his brother's buttons, it's Tommy. Like, he knows how to get Arthur to pretty much be useful to him in some ways. Mm-hmm. So he actually gives him here a surprise, and it's pretty epic. I'm not gonna lie.
I wouldn't mind it.
Right?
Yeah.
Your brother gives you a bar, literally a bar. Yeah. Tommy gifts Arthur the garrison for him to manage. And essentially, it's a fulfillment of a dream they had back in the war, where they said, they wanted to open up a pub. So now the garrison is officially like Peaky Blinders headquarters, HQ. It was already pretty much owned by them before this.
It's basically HQ, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe one day I'll have one too. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, on to the Cheltenham races, right?
Not quite yet. He's got a flat tire.
Yeah.
That's the next big bit, though.
Yeah.
To the races.
It's just that the Cheltenham races are such the highlight of this episode.
It is. It's everything. Well, actually, there was this confrontation between Tommy and Freddie. That was pretty intense. Little odd.
Is it,
little odd.
I think it's because we know Tommy from behind the scenes that confrontation with Freddie is kind of like, we honestly know that Tommy's not going to do anything, in my opinion. I just feel like at this point we know Tommy's a good man.
He has some redeeming qualities, so I'll leave it at that.
Well, I'm not going to say like he's a good man. I'm going to say that he doesn't kill people that he loves, And think about it, Danny Whizbang.
Yeah, he shot him with
with pig brains or whatever. Even under pressure, he doesn't turn on those that he loves. He tries to pull bluffs on some people, but Freddie knows him by now. But maybe not as well as we think, because Freddie has a gun on him.
Yeah, he's had it there the entire time. Tommy's just sitting there.
Yeah.
He walks up to him with a gun on him.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Tommy's very cool and collected, like 99% of the time. But then we see these really random childlike outbursts, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well,
so it kind of is unhinged at times.
Mm-hmm. He's always thinking a step ahead. Even in his calm conversation with Freddie, he plays dirty too.
Yeah. You've got to play dirty to win sometimes.
In reality, he's, trying to protect. Is he really protecting his sister's cause by keeping her away from Freddie, or is he protecting his own ambitions? Because if there's one thing at this time that there is no patience for, it's communism. So at this point, it's like Tommy he knows that if you have Freddie involved, his business dealings are going to get pretty much really unraveled. And Tommy himself has a past of, communist or socialist leanings before he went to the war. But he kind of became more of a realist after he came back from the war.
Yeah, and then Freddie just went farther down the path.
Yeah. If you think about it, all the men who come back from the war, they all find like something that they pour themselves into. Right? Tommy's pouring himself into building an empire. Freddie's poured himself into creating a revolution. Arthur's poured himself into alcohol and depression. And John is pretty much just John Boy. John Boy doesn't have much depth to him.
He does not. Not yet, at least. So
there's
I feel like it's kind of comes from the perspective. It's like, well, I could be dead, so why not just do everything I can at this point?
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
You want to know the only person that his threats don't work on? Paulie.
So now
Tommy ain't intimidating Paulie.
No, he's not. It's his mother, basically. She'll beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
So right now we finally get like a slowed down dream sequence of what actually happened in the tunnel that we've been seeing snippets of over the past 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're only on episode 3. So this is a very interesting scene.
You get the whole the whole background of the PTSD and what really went down that gave Tommy and the boys essentially honorable medals for their service, right?
Yeah.
See, Danny.
I mean, this shot, down here in the tunnel, it really reminds me a lot of 1917.
Yeah.
It's got some vibes from 1917.
It's so claustrophobic, man.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine that job? And to think men actually had to do this, man, it's crazy.
I'm just like thinking about the ceiling, like
collapsing
the dirt
on you,
rock just falling on you, like for like what? Because someone shot a gun or a grenade goes off, or you hit a wall.
And fighting underneath there, they were buried alive.
Yeah, we got somebody just got shot, now getting stabbed with a.
Freddie
was that whiz bang?
Freddie was the one who took a bullet for Tommy.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they finally broke through the wall, which apparently happens more than not.
Really?
From I think is what we hear in this conversation right here with.
You get a really cool, look into the loyalty that the men that fought with Tommy have for him, specifically Danny.
Oh, yeah.
There's another side here. These men have a deeper bond through the adversity that they faced and the horrors that they faced in World War One.
Mm-hmm.
This is Danny, and he seems way more calm and collected, of a sounder mind than when you first see him. It was like when he was shot, he was born again, right?
Yeah, you kind of get that sense.
And he needs a goal. He needs a mission.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, they're so like service and duty, like it's so ingrained in them at this point, right? Like that's their lives. Like they're there for a mission. They're there to do something, and with it, it's like people who work all their lives, and then they retire. They like some people just die because they don't have anything to do and like they can't handle it. It happens.
It happens more frequently than you think. I actually know someone that I think a couple of months after they retired, they died.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, perfectly healthy all before,
mm-hmm.
and then you stop doing what you're meant to do,
or not necessarily meant to do, but it's like
that's why I put it in.
It's crazy. You work your whole life to retire, and then you pass.
Yeah.
But here you have Tommy. You have Tommy and Danny pretty much lamenting the fact that they both volunteered to serve. And they if they could go back, it's almost like if they could go back and talk to their younger selves, they would have said, "Don't do it."
Yeah. See, this right here's the conversation where Tommy's basically saying, like, every night he has a recurring dream, and he's always praying, or not praying. He specifically removes that word. He hopes, right?
Yeah.
That the sun comes through before they come through. So
yeah.
Apparently he gets the replay of getting Freddie getting shot and Danny going off on somebody every night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he does drugs.
I don't think that points to them breaking through in reality all the time, like historically. I just think that his specific situation, he can't. I mean, I can't imagine having to overcome that sort of trauma in that sense.
For sure.
But you have a look into why Tommy can never stop. It's almost like he just wants to run away from that,
Mm-hmm.
Danny Whizbang leaves a note about, "I will do my duty, sir." Tommy has a bunch of soldiers. That's really what this is. This is the war. He brought the war back home.
Yeah, keep in mind, we're like, only a few months after the war, right?
This is probably less than a year after the war.
Yeah.
They just came back, and Paulie mentions this all the time, where this was a woman's company when you boys were off at war. The women forget.
Back.
They talk like that, but it's like, yeah, we weren't out there, galloping through daisies and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would trade places instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have Tommy and Grace now getting ready for the race here. And Grace is ready. She's asking for some extra money for a very nice dress. And this is probably one of my favorite scenes in the episode. You get the getting ready scene of Grace and Tommy, right?
Yeah.
You get the old style single blade.
Sensual, slowed down.
Is it sensual?
Washing up with a
You know
rag.
what it feels like? It feels almost like a bride and a groom getting ready for a wedding day, right?
This would be a great
montage.
A great idea for a wedding video, yeah.
I think people do this. But I show the guns too.
Yeah. Dude,
both of them are loaded guns.
Yeah.
It ends with both of them packing a gun. Right? Very interesting.
Oh, man. Yeah, they both pack one.
They're kind of, two peas in a pod, They both got alternative missions.
Kind of be foolish too, right? I mean, it's like the old West. Everybody's running around with a gun.
You think so? I think it was illegal back then to hold a gun.
I don't know what the laws were in England.
I like Charlie. Charlie's always at 100 miles an hour. Those coppers control the law there, Tommy. He's always worrying about something.
The other father figure here.
He's always dramatic. I need more than that to come back alive, Tommy. There she is.
Extremely.
Lady in red. Grace is there in her, she's looking good.
Here we have a great scene coming up shortly. There we go. Everybody marching.
I love the fact Charlie's worried, but Tommy's not. He doesn't tell everybody his plans.
He's always got a plan.
He lets people worry for him, but he's got soldiers ready and lined up there at the track.
You gotta love John Boy here. He's killing me.
You love John Boy, but Arthur lives for this, man. Arthur lives for this.
Arthur's he's the meathead, the muscle.
He loves these scrapes, man. He's the back alley brawler.
Yeah. He packs a punch for a skinny dude.
Arthur's like those old school boxers who fight like this, where they have their fist in front of the other. Or like this. How do they do it?
That's something along those lines.
They give them a bunch of hammers and stuff. Oh my gosh! Imagine getting cut with that freaking thing. Why do they got this little kid out there?
The Peaky Blinders were made up of kids, right?
Yeah, but that's a literal 5-year-old. I'm out, bro.
Come on, I mean, you got a hatchet in your hand. You're gonna do something.
A 5-year-old?
Why not? Nobody's gonna expect it.
I know, but for God's sake, he's 5.
Bash somebody in the shins.
He's 5 years old. It's a little kid. Imagine getting you get hit in the shin with that thing,
dude. Oh, or the Achilles tendon there.
You got Tommy and Grace. Tommy's clearly not on a date mindset here. He's got a mission. He's going through the back way of the track, and he has one mission. And you know what that is?
He's dragging her along.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to. He's already fixed this race for the most part. And he has a plan to sneak into the upper echelon, the wealthy room.
Yeah. I thought Tommy was kind of slipping up a bit with Grace until that scene because, she asked the question, oh, how would you fix a race? He's like, how the hell should I? How should I?
I got that same impression. He was like,
I'm like,
she was getting too close, and he was like, chill out.
Too close, too quick.
Chill out.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know each other like that. Tommy, take off his hat here?
Yeah, it's off.
Is this the first time Tommy doesn't have a hat on?
Well, he's doing business right now, right? This is, the hat is there for protection. You got the razor blades in there. You don't need it for talking to Billy Kimber because Billy Kimber's not a threat.
Grace really does look good here. This is 10 out of 10 Grace right here.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy even dances. I don't take him as the dancing type, but when he's on business and he's on a mission, he'll even dance the waltz.
He's super focused though.
Yeah, he's looking at Billy.
I mean,
he's trying to flaunt her.
But
he brings Grace. He's dancing with Grace in the middle of the dance floor for the audience who's not watching.
She's so clueless about it.
Yeah,
too.
And he's just trying to parade her around so he can see her. Mm-hmm. And he has seen her. He knows he's seen her. And you get Arthur bust in through the door here and hand Tommy a bag of gold that they've collected from the different, I guess the robbers who are trying to hold up the bookies.
Is it the Lee Boys?
Yeah, it's the Lee Boys.
Yeah.
The Lee Boys are the rival gang here that are holding up all these racetracks that's become a security issue for Kimber. So what Tommy's trying to do is he's trying to take over the security for it. And Grace has no idea that she's being used as a ploy here. So now she's kind of catching wind that it's like, oh, I'm just literally a tool here.
Yeah. Tommy in this whole episode is, I mean, most of the time he is, but in this episode specifically, he's a great salesman. He's a great salesman. His negotiating skills are a bit rough around the edges, but
I think if you know anything in business, it's that if you can be useful, you will get hired. If you can solve a problem for somebody, even though Tommy crassly comes over and pours a bunch of coins on the table.
It's all of his own money. Kimber's money.
But this is like I said, a hustler, Tommy. This is somebody closing a deal, trying to get a foot in the door.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows exactly what he wants. He goes for it. And he asks for the percentage that he wants and everything. Here are the offers. He offers them to outsource their security to the Peaky Blinders for 5%. And immediately, you can tell Kimber's disinterested. And he says, deal with my accountant. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
dance, man.
The one condition Kimber has is that he wants to have sex with Grace. So Tommy pretty much gives him a chance. He says, yeah, you can have sex with her.
Yeah. I think that's most of the rest of the episode, honestly, at this point, right? I mean, we have Grace riding back to Kimber's house, and
yeah, you get a scene where
Kimber's wife, and there's just
Kimber's like, "Hey, you can have my wife, and I can take your girl." And essentially, Tommy almost has more. By the way, Kimber's wife's pretty, but Tommy almost has, like, if you think about it, he could probably get with Kimber's wife here, but vice versa. Grace is not having it with Kimber.
Well, Kimber's wife, I think she said something. She was actually a millionaire before she even met Kimber. So I'm curious to know what her role is in this, assuming there is one, or what she did before.
I think Kimber's probably somebody who came up the ranks like Tommy, but it's probably his accountant that is more responsible for the success. And the accountant wanted somebody that's not him to be the face, so that if something happens...
I was just going to say, he seems like the face of the operation, not the brains.
Exactly. He's the muscle. Maybe.
He's the Arthur to...
it's like if Arthur was in charge.
Tommy.
It's kind of like if Arthur was in charge, right?
Yeah.
But the accountant looks kind of soft.
He does look a bit soft. At the same time, though, he looks like the guy that would just, have somebody go off you if you wanted.
He reminds me of a character from Boardwalk Empire, Meyer Lansky. Well, Kimber's not having his way with Grace, so instead he decides he's going to forcefully do it. And Tommy has a moment of conscience where he pulls a romantic move of stopping the rape of Grace from happening by telling him...
He's got the clap.
Talk about a romantic move.
Yeah.
They get together later and she's like, I remember your father. I knew he loved me when he said he stopped me from being raped and said I had the clap.
It's hilarious.
Grace is, of course, up to here with it. She's done with it.
Oh, yeah. But, this I think this is part of, his way of, trying to break her down to see...
You think so? I think
if she's actually working for somebody or not. Like, if he genuinely had interest in her, I don't think he would have gone this route.
By the way, that's probably the line of the episode.
Yeah, I think so.
But you have where she says, "I started the day as Lady Sarah Connemara, and I ended the day as a whore with the clap." The episode ends with Grace questioning Tommy whether, why did he change his mind, and Tommy doesn't answer because Tommy doesn't answer to anybody. But you can clearly tell that Tommy is interested in Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And that concludes episode 3 of season 1 of Peaky Blinders.
Very interesting.
I disagree with you on Tommy sussing her out. I think he does have his suspicions, but I think him stopping her had all to do with him being interested in her and not wanting to see that take place. Because
the stopping part of it, I agree. I think that's because he does have some interest in it, but I think this is kind of serving as like two birds, one stone. Or yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Killing two birds, one stone, because he knows that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see how it would prove that she's not. I don't think he has a suspicion of this girl. He has a suspicion of her past, but he guesses wrong on pretty much, what the deal is with her. So I think it's just somebody who's kind of opening himself up for love again, and I don't think he's really sussing her out. I think he sees her as a tool he can use because she's an attractive woman, and Kimber's kind of just like a primal. He doesn't have any control of his urges or whatever. So he's like, you know what? If I can use her, but now it's gotten too deep, and now he's into her. So it always gets complicated for Tommy. He wants things to be easy, but then you got Freddie marrying his sister, and you have the sister pregnant, and then you have Arthur with the Flanders Blues, and you got Grace that he now likes, and so now he can't use her as easily as he would have, and so now he's pretty much bound to have some sort of confrontation at some point.
But the only follow-up that I think I'll have to that is, I feel like if he's not suspecting, that she may not be trustworthy, and this is kind of like a way to just, I mean, you're trying someone's out. Like, if they're going to continue, like, go through with it or whatever, I don't know what that would reveal here. But if he wasn't suspecting it a little bit, I feel like he's really just being sloppy because he's moving really quick and getting really close really fast. However, there's still the one scene where she asks a question, and the question just really stood out because, I mean, that's exactly what they were there for. They were fixing races, right? And she asks, and he doesn't, like, it's like, how would I know? Like, I don't even know anything about that.
Well,
just completely denying it.
I don't think Tommy's worried about anything else in his operations being exposed. I think the only thing he's concerned about are the guns. So, and I think he's confident enough to know. I mean, he owns the bar that she works at, to keep eyes on her. I'm sure he keeps eyes on her, and he's not going to let her anywhere close to the guns because the only people who know about the guns is him, I think Curly, Johnny Dogs maybe, Arthur, and Charlie, and Polly. I might have renamed a couple of people there, but like double spoke. But he's only left it to his most trusted men. Not John Boy doesn't even know about it, so there's really no risk here of anybody finding out other than the government going to the place where he has them and seizing it somehow by luck. So I think his plan is he can get close to her, still suss her out a bit, see if anything is suspicious there, and but still kind of mix business with pleasure a bit. So it leaves us off on an interesting point because now Tommy has his foot in the door with Kimber, but he still has not progressed anything with his deal with Campbell because Freddie's still in town. Yeah. So he still has some pressure coming from there. So I expect the next episode is going to be a bit more to do with Campbell.
Well, I'm excited for the next episode. Before we wrap this one up, favorite scene?
Favorite scene? The race. I think the race has to be like Arthur beating up the guys and getting the money and Tommy throwing the bag of money on the table. I love that scene. You?
Yeah. The favorite scene that I wrote down was basically the whole negotiation of walking in and dropping the money down and, the smug look on their face. I think that was my favorite out of this entire episode.
It was close. The other one was the guy singing to Tommy during the negotiation.
Who's that?
Just kidding.
I don't know. I don't think that's my favorite. I think it's the most awkward.
Definitely.
The other one that I liked a bit was Arthur's speech, though, because that was kind of, since we're giving the same one, I'll give a different one. Arthur's speech, because I feel like that's like the first moment in this episode where he's kind of stepping it up and not being somebody who's just like shell shocked, right? Like he's actually doing something active in here. So it was interesting to see that side of him.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, strong episode. You got like some sort of culmination of a build up there from the races. So looking forward to the next one. Zach, do you want to close us out on this episode?
For sure. Well, thank you for listening to the Peaky Blinders by Story Archives podcast. You can find us anywhere you can find your podcast: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We're also in other places, but those are the main ones. You can find us online at storyarchives.themidnightexchange.com, and you can also find us on Instagram at THEME Podcast. You can find us on
Story Archives.
You can. That's right. Sorry. I got that backwards. So you can find us at Story Archives on Instagram. You can find us on the media network, The Midnight Exchange, at themidnightexchange.com. You can find us on Facebook at The Midnight Exchange, Instagram at The Midnight Exchange, Twitter at THEME Podcast. And if you want to send us an email, you can send an email to podcast@themidnightexchange.com. That outro is getting quite long.
It is. I think I gotta cut that down.
Yeah.
It'll all be in the show notes, folks. All right?
Yeah. I think what we're going to have to do is we're just going to have to do like a simple link, which is like, if you want to find anything about us,
go to the show notes
here. And it's just, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, agreed.
That's going to be much easier.
Just get them to the Instagram and to our website.
Yeah, I'm getting rambly this late.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. As always, thank you. This show cannot be done without you all who tune in and enjoy it. Zach, a pleasure. Until the next one.
As always.
Take care. Stay peaky.